babies. Thank goodness for that. Hello. All right, girl. I'm going to stop here. Much like our elephants and our other animals, Ribbon looking a little bit unsettled as to whether or not that's connected. Hello. To whatever happened last night. There you can see that nasty wound on her bottom, just next to her tail, on Ribbon's side. I saw that a few days ago, so it's not fresh, but it is quite deep. No, don't go inside. I know it's cold. There we go. There's the two little monsters. Oh, that's actually a very good point. I'm going to just share where we saw those elephants so that Taylor doesn't go running into them. They were quite close to the valley and mobile into that thick patch between Rebecca's and the western edge of quarantine. They were all running in there. There was also another herd that was quite upset on, sounded like Impala Road, Ballinites Junction. But one of the elephant bulls did veer off to the south, so they should be quite careful that they don't go wandering into them in weather like this. Sorry everybody, just had to clarify that through Louise to make sure that our walking team doesn't find themselves in trouble. Hello you two. Having a jolly good sniff around. When are you going to get brave enough to come and say hello? Is that the light or is that a funny murky eye? Must just be the light. Must be the way the light is hitting it. Be very odd for such a young hyena to have an eye problem. That doesn't look normal. Have you got a cataract or something? Or an injury to the eye? That eye does look cloudy to me. Oh, you get a bone all around the den. Now, all the old bones from the old kills that were dragged back to this Philemon's cutline den make for the perfect chew toy. No, I want it, it's mine. Goodbye. Naturally, we see it with the lion cubs, we see it with the hyena as well, and you see it with human beings. When one of them has something, even if the other was not in any way vaguely interested in it beforehand, immediately the other one wants it. It's like children in a playground, or siblings that are close in age. Doesn't matter that you showed absolutely no interest in it before. As soon as one of the others grabs it, then you want it. I'm talking about you, yes I am. Did you lose your bone? That's so disappointing. They're growing up so fast. They already got their spots coming through properly. In the last few days, I noticed them really clearly on their legs. Now you can actually start to see them showing through on their sides as well. I do think we were slightly underestimated the age of these cubs when we first saw them. I think we forgot what tiny hyena cubs look like. I think they must be closer to 6 weeks. I want it. It's mine. Give it to me. Well, and gone again. Oh, stolen. No. You know that there are several other bones that you can chew around this den. And I know you know that. Fine, if I can't have it, I'll bite you. Ouch. Sure. They've got strong and dragging each other about. Proper sibling over a bone that they both want. You might see some tug of war. And the thing about this bone shard is that it's one end is good for gripping, the other one's more difficult. Aha. It's mine. Don't touch it. A grimace of pain there from the other hyena cub. Bulldozed back into the den. Oh, but up again. Distracted completely, now just using Mum as a jungle gym. their favorite game. So sweet. I think there was a question in there from Louise, but we'll wait for her to gather her thoughts once again before she replies. There we go. Thank you, Lou. Second time lucky. Marco, you want to know about a hyena mating ritual. How long does it take? Is there lots of flirting, like with the cats, or is it instant action? There is actually a courtship period, and of course it becomes once again, or falls once again upon the males to approach the females, rather than with big cats where you've got it the other way around, and often it's the females that are very flirty. Sorry, the saga of the bone is keeping me thoroughly entertained, dashing backwards and forwards. And the mating itself actually does require an extended courtship period because of the bizarre anatomy of the female hyena. So it takes time for her to get ready into that state where she can actually mate, and that penetration can occur. The sort of the pseudo penis, that fused vaginal and urinary tract, have to invert essentially. So there is an extended. As for how long it takes, it depends on if there are other males around as well. If there's a little bit of fighting and scuffling over her, and then it isn't as quick as a cat, so it's not as rapid at mating. I'm just thinking, oh, squeak! Somebody got hurt there. I'm wondering whether we shouldn't try shuffle forward ever so slightly, just to give a slightly clearer view. Lou says yes. Squeak, squeak. I'm scared though if we go all the way around, it's out actually. Let me just try and get a bit closer. Sorry, Marco. Can I continue that on your question in a sec? Let me just find ourselves a good spot. And very relevant because, as we said, we think we heard them mating last night. Do you feel the rain yet, Dave? I can feel it. What do you mean, no? It's drizzling on our faces. Not on yours. How come I've got it? Did I just drive through the one patch of rain? Ah, there it is. How's that, Dave? Can you see if I go forward a bit? I think we're going to put the bush in the way if we... This is pretty good. Sorry. It's become an awkward den site. It never used to be, but with the elephants that have pushed over all of the trees... Oh, you're so curious. Come on. It's time you came up and said hello to us. I'm trying to duck down, hide from the wind. Alright, Marco, sorry, I was distracted. So yes, the courtship does take quite a long time, and they've found, interestingly enough, in studies that it's submissive males that tend to have more luck, which actually makes complete sense when you think about the way that hyenas interact with each other. But the mating itself is probably more dog-like than cat-like. They assume the same position, and the females don't generally lie down. But as I said, it takes quite a while for her to be ready so that the male can actually get to that point that penetration can occur. It's a very tricky business. The whole reproductive nature of spotted hyenas is rather complex and a bit bizarre and a bit counterintuitive when we think about them in comparison to other males, other mammals. because then once that female is pregnant, now she's also got to give birth through that very narrow tract. Now it seems counterintuitive, but obviously evolutionary for hyenas, it worked. That the benefits outweighed the disadvantages. Somebody's won the bone completely, the other one's now distracted by the prospect of breakfast with mum. This is the perfect chew toy for itchy, burny gums. Arthur, that's a really good question. Where does the stigma come from that is so clearly attached to spotted hyenas? Because whilst we have a tendency to blame popular media and things like The Lion King, which of course did not depict hyenas in a particularly favourable light, it's not entirely fair because the history goes back a lot longer than that. And you'll find that they have been seen as a creature with a very negative stigma long before colonial people arrived in different parts of Africa. And you're wondering if I know anything about the history of it. I don't know the full history of it. Yes, I'm talking about you. I'm sorry to tell you this at your young age, but lots of people don't like you. Yes, I know, it's unfair, isn't it? Even with that cute face, lots of people just can't stand you. And it remains that way, and there are some people in the world who just cannot stand spotted hyenas. I think personally, Arthur, there's something about their posture and the way that they go about things that's led to this really unpleasant belief in these animals. Their sloping backs, the fact that they do scavenge, although of course not recently, of course we now know that hyenas are very capable hunters, but if they can scavenge they will, just like any other creature out here. It just so happens that they're so numerous that the chances of seeing them scavenging is so much higher. And they're bigger than pretty things like leopards, and let's face it, they're not as beautiful to the ordinary eye than something like a leopard or a lion. I think they're beautiful, but I am biased. I think historically it's a combination of the sloping body posture that really doesn't help them. It's not like a leopard or a lion slinking through the grass. They look as though they're up to mischief. I think also their high intelligence levels have made them more of a pest than other creatures. And their boldness, their natural curiosity, means that for people sleeping out in the open at night, a foolish decision always, they're probably going to be the predator that inflict the most injuries, just because they're the most intelligent and therefore the most likely to approach out of curiosity. And they can't exactly explore their world like we can with our hands and our fingers and our thumbs. They explore everything, as you can see with these hyena cubs, by using their mouths. And unfortunately, sometimes that means people as well. It's unfortunate because they're such complex, such intelligent creatures, and they have a stigma attached to them that is very, very hard to break. And yes, they kill other predators' cubs. So does every other predator out here if they have the opportunity. It does happen. It's like the lions and the wild dogs. You can't really just take the good aspects of nature. That one cub is making such a begging noise while it suckles. It's so cute. Also, for Tato, you want to know whether or not the mother will show any kind of a preference for males or female cubs. Not that I've ever observed. She doesn't interfere, which means that the female cub, if there is one female and one male, the female will run riot over the male cub and become more and more dominant, often bullying him, grabbing him by the ears, shaking him around. Hello, gorgeous mom. You're such a beautiful Hyena Ribbon. There's a difference really in the way that the female treats them until they are fully grown. After that, naturally, she will treat the male cub as a more submissive member of the hyena clan, which he, of course, will already have learnt and behave in that natural way. Interestingly enough, I found the interactions with Madam and her son Bella quite interesting. And what I mean by that is, even after Bella had her cubs, her second set of cubs that I saw, and Bella was basically a sub-adult and independent. Often when there was some kind of fight, when there was some kind of disciplining happening, and Madam was involved front and centre, her son was there with her, following along, showing a huge amount of interest, and she never turned round and took out her frustrations on him or was angry with him. And I just found that interesting. It doesn't mean that she's going to treat them differently. What's wrong, girl? She's hearing something. Oh, it's an elephant. Oh, whoopsie. No, cubs, stay inside. Uh-oh. You go inside. Oh, now they cross. What an unfortunate time of arrival, elephants. Angry Ellies everywhere. I don't know where Bushwalk is, but perhaps might be prudent to let them know as well that a herd of elephants has just come wandering in. Hi, big girls. Ribbon immediately disappeared. You see the natural behavior of the cubs, and here comes the parade of elephants behind us. We'll just sit here nice and still and pretend we're not here. Hello. Actually, I'm not going to go with the pretense. I'm just going to let them know full stop we are here. Hi, big girls. Don't get a fright. Nobody get a fright. Everybody stay cool. It's okay. Ribbon's coming back. No, girl, there's still another bull there who's coming up behind you. Don't worry, your cubs know what to do. They'll stay nice and quiet. Don't you worry. Shame, look at the anxiety in her body language. She can outrun them, and they're not really a threat to her cubs either. They're not going to try and dig them out or anything like that. Or if they did, I would be very, very surprised. Don't worry, girl, you're going to get chased. You're going to get chased. Another big cow moving up at the back. Dave, it seems as though no matter where we go, we're going to encounter upset elephants this morning. I love watching the body language of both species. The stiff tail of the females, and then Ribbon's anxious protection of the entrance to her den. Oops, one of them nearly snuck up behind her. My head's operating on a swivel at the moment to make sure we don't attract any dissatisfaction ourselves. Dave, I need you to... Okay, no, it's all right. I'm just making sure we don't have one coming up the other side of us. Okay. Strange things happened at hyena dens. Ooh. Where's that tree being pushed over? Preferably not over the den. No, it's on the other side. I don't know where Ribbon went. She's just disappeared off. Sometimes you just got to sit in one place, you know. The Ellies are there. You can see them forming that tight formation. That big female is particularly angry with life at the moment, taking on the responsibility of protecting the herd on windy conditions. Right, well, we're going to sit patiently with our elephant-hyena interaction and elephant bulls fighting each other. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to disappear. While we do that, let's send you over to Brent for the last few minutes.